to go. I wanted to dance on a speaker on that last little bit there. Yeah, imagine that scene. Good morning, and welcome to New Hope. Today we are going to have some fun and some serious discussion around the world of fashion, and in particular, the subset of fashion, shoes. We believe in this community that the whole world belongs to God, that all of humanity belongs to God, that the cultures that are created by humanity throughout the history of humanity are belonging to God, and that the world of fashion belongs to God, and that the part of fashion that is the world of shoes belongs to God. The good, the bad, the ugly, the excess, the beauty, the truth, the deceptions, everything within that realm is God's. So that's our sort of founding presupposition for engaging such a crazy topic. Hopefully you'll get a little bit about what we do with this. I can still remember the buzz that was in this place about 3 years ago. This time of year, we had a 200-foot runway right down the middle of this gym from here right to the back wall. 24 top-notch mode models from the mode modeling agency here in town, professional lighting, cameras, a live sound guy doing his gig right over there. About 450 people packing the church, lining the runway, all to see renowned Canadian fashion designer Paul Hardy's Spring 2005 collection. Shown for the first time before New York or LA, Paul showed his collection here at New Hope Church. And it was electric if you were here that Sunday. A fashion show in God's house. And I can still recall the moment where everybody sort of has their chairs facing towards the center runway when I announced, okay, now everybody turn your chairs 90 degrees and turn them towards the front. Cue the transition to church. And then I sort of gulped and went, now what do you say? Several months before that Sunday, I was in the planning research phase and met with Paul Hardy and Kelly Strait from Mode Models. And we were going to meet and just talk about the possibility of doing this kind of a thing in church and talking about where God is in the field of fashion. And before we got into the dialogue, the two of them were going on and on about a couple of model friends of theirs who had got totally dolled up and dressed up and went downtown to a club to be seen. And I overheard them say that phrase, to be seen. I thought, to be seen. Is that, and I'm asking the question, what's going on here, God, in this whole thing of fashion? And what are we looking for? And who are we in this? And who are you in this? And to be seen, is that what this is all about? An industry based on this huge, deep human longing to be noticed, to be accepted, to belong in a very unique, self-expressed way. And then I'm asking, to be seen as what? And asking, to be seen by who? Basic Christian theology teaches that humanity lives in a middle time. We're stuck in between the Garden of Eden's perfection before things fell apart and a one-day perfect, remade, new world where things will be perfect and flawless and complete again. In the beginning, the man and his wife were both naked and they felt no shame. So on both ends of humanity's continuum, perfection. And here we are, stuck in the middle with you, and the world's a mess, and I'm broken, and this thing called sin is infecting and perverting and polluting a lot of what human existence is and what life is, more than we sometimes know. And in the middle of that mire and mess, we're yearning for things to be made right again, to be made perfect and beautiful again. We want to discover paradise lost or rediscover it. To be remade and reclothed and redressed is the yearning of every human being. To be redeemed, judged, looked at. To be understood, reframed, reclothed. to be re-seen. Did you ever play dress up when you were a little kid? And if you were a guy who dressed up in women's clothes, that's cool. We're a cool church. But did you ever dress up in adult clothes, right? If you were a little girl and you put on your mom's shoes and sort of like the image shows, tried to step into something bigger and more fully yourself. C.S. Lewis saw our desire to wear grown-up clothes as, quote, kind of pretending, but it's also a kind of preparing, because every child wants to one day be a person who fits into clothes of this size. We are made to fit in a different size clothes, adult-like, grown-up-like, whole-like, complete-like, fulfilled-like clothes. We're meant to be fully there, and you're meant to be fully you, whoever that is. So shoes, what are they all about? Red stilettos, not quite killer, but pretty killer. What is this part of our culture, and maybe for some of us a much bigger part of our lives than for others, what are this subset of fashion, telling us, teaching us about who we are? What is it about their journey-attending, life-founding, soul, S-O-L-E, beautifying, and protecting nature? What do they teach us about who we are? And probably more importantly, what do they teach us about who God is? What spiritual truths can we learn from our shoes? Dumb question? Or irrelevant question? Maybe an irreverent question? This week I fly to Chicago, and I'm in the departure lounge at the Calgary airport, and there's a woman trying to get her seat assignment, and she is wearing killer heels, right? And I'm looking and trying to exegete the shoes and worried that people are thinking I'm a freak or trying to, anyway, end up sitting beside her on the plane, of course, and we both did the working thing because you don't know whether the person's weird or not, so you work for most of the flight, and then in the last 10 minutes, you potentially engage into the risk of a conversation. And that conversation started when I opened my big shoe research history book, and the moment I opened the book, and there's a beautiful pair of shoes there, Manolos or something, and all of a sudden she looks over and looks at those and goes, they're beautiful. And then within a nanosecond, one of the stewardesses is walking down the aisle, she looks over, she leans down, the two of them are right into the book and looking at those shoes and going, those are gorgeous. I don't know how practical they are, but they are gorgeous. And they're just going on and on about these shoes. Yes, shoes can become an obsession. The woman I met on the plane did not answer my question, asked twice, how many pairs do you have? And yes, some people, men and women, can fall into Imelda-like idolatry when it comes to shoes in their lives and fashion. And sometimes people put their Manolos before the man. And yes, there are socioeconomic and moral issues that must be weighed as people with a global conscience when anybody lays down $300, $400, $500 for a pair of Pradas. Writing those words, I have Steve Miller running through my head, then shoe the children with no shoes on their feet.